All right, what's going on, guys? Hope you guys are all having an amazing day. Let's go ahead and talk about intraday plays and how to successfully take positions when it comes down to not wanting to swing trade something, but just wanting to scalp something intraday, knowing when it's a good time to buy, knowing what's a good time to sell. I'm going to talk about a very simple indicator that I've covered before, and that's the VWAP indicator. I'm going to talk to you guys about an example of DUST, which is a perfect example of it being at a resistance level of a highs of about $28, and as it approaches that resistance level and it continues to get rejected by that resistance, you could still make money intraday while it's being rejected. And how is it that you might say that you're able to do that? This is how it is that I've been able to successfully scalp the swing trades that we've been focusing on, but mainly trading them as day trades as they approach that resistance. So looking a little bit more into it, it's that VWAP indicator and the EMA line that I really focus on. I am going to change the EMA line right now, and the reason that I'm going to change it is because I currently have it at a length of 25, and that's mainly because of my swing trade positions that I like to focus on. So I'm going to click here very quickly on Edit Studies, and I'm going to change this and go right here to the settings. If you guys I haven't done this already, I'm going to change mine to 15, which is usually where I have it for my day trades. As you can see, it becomes a little bit more tight, and it gets a confirmation a little bit quicker, and that's what I like when it comes down to scalping day trades. So the way that I read the VWAP indicators is the first thing that you should know is if you haven't watched that VWAP video already, I would encourage you to watch that video first. Talking and knowing a little bit more about this already, you most likely know that looking at the VWAP indicator, the top VWAP, which is this kind of like reddish pinkish line, acts as a resistance. So it's usually a good time to sell when it's approaching that top VWAP. It doesn't always touch it. Note that. Also, the bottom VWAP is usually a support, a price point where it normally bounces at. If you guys have been with Learn Plan Profit for a while, you guys would have seen that I used the VWAP indicator to scalp an intraday bounce for JDST for a quick little day trade. It had a huge sell-off. It bounced off the golden VWAP. What did I do? I waited for the bounce. I waited for the break above the EMA. I took a position, and then I sold at the top VWAP. Very simple indicators that I use to scalp this. And it doesn't require any huge knowledge of the market or the overall pattern. It's just understanding the indicators, how they work, waiting for the sell-off, waiting for it to bounce, then break above the EMA, as you guys can see right here. And then when it continues to rally, the thing that I really like to focus on is when it breaks above the EMA, I want to make sure that it also breaks above the middle VWAP. As it bounces, so let me give you this example. It approached this top VWAP indicator, right? It was bouncing between the middle VWAP and the top VWAP. So that's a margin, that's a support and resistance, right? It bounces in between that. It has a sell-off, breaks below the EMA line, and then breaks below the middle VWAP. So now it's trending between the middle VWAP, which is the purple one, and the golden VWAP, which is the bottom one. It has a sell-off. Again, it's still trending far below the EMA line, or at least still below it. We wait for the confirmation for it to break above the EMA line and bounces off the bottom VWAP. And then once we get that full-on confirmation, we can take a position there, but note that there is going to be a slight resistance at the middle VWAP. As you guys can see, it was consolidating here. It broke above the middle VWAP, broke that resistance, trended up a little bit, hit a resistance there, and then had a sell-off. So how is it that you can know that it's most likely going to have a sell-off here? Here's a little hint for you. Look at the RSI indicator and the direction that it's pointing. If it begins to start pointing down, then that's something that you are going to want to pay attention to, because it's most likely going to note that there might be a little bit of sell-off. Also, keep a close eye on the MACD indicator if you haven't already, for a potential reversal. When these candles start to peak out, you might will have a better understanding that, hey, this ticker might start to reverse, and it might be time for me to cover profits. Again, these indicators, the bottom VWAP, the top VWAP, the middle VWAP, they're indicators to give you a better understanding of where it might bounce or where it might peak out at. It's never 100% certain. So understanding that, you want to make sure that you're using either different indicators or have a different understanding of the overall market and the patterns that something like DUST shows, to know when to cover profits and when to cut losses and then when to take a position. So it has that sell-off. It breaks below the middle VWAP. It continues to trend down. It continues to hold. Do you see this? It continues to get rejected by the EMA line. Downward pattern, downward pattern. It breaks below the bottom VWAP. We don't care about that. What we care about is when it breaks above the EMA line and bounces off the golden VWAP. Breaks above it. We get that confirmation. We can wait for a break of resistance. So let's say 27.20. I like those nice price points. We wait for that break. I can take a position there. I can scalp it. Hey, we're approaching that middle VWAP. That's 1.55%. Is it time to cover profits? Is it time to cover profits? You know, it might be. You could see that, hey, it's nothing but green there. Breaks right through it. It continues to trend up, continues to trend up. Keep a close eye on this EMA line as it continues to hold above it, right? Really nice pattern. It continues to peak out. Peaks out at around 28.15, has a little bit of a sell-off. It bounces here, goes back up. It goes back up and then has a little bit of a sell-off. It does break below the EMA line, so some people might have covered profits there, depending on how tight your EMA line is. Again, if you have it a little bit more loose, then it would have not, fallen below that EMA line because it would have been a little bit more loose. So it's up to you and how comfortable you are and how risky you are. And then breaks above it and then goes a little bit higher. It goes to highs of 28.20 and even a little bit higher and almost touches that top VWAP. Look how beautiful that pattern is. Again, bounces here, peaks out there. What's that margin of profit from entry to sell? So again, you're not always trying to get in at the very bottom. You're not always trying to sell at the very top. You want to have an understanding on why you're buying and why you're selling. So the reason I'm buying is because it bounced off the bottom VWAP and broke above the EMA, and then it broke above 27.20. And I like that it's trending above the EMA line. Great, I can take a position here at 27.20 and I can manage my risk at the bottom VWAP, whatever it is that you manage your risk at. It continues to trend up, holds the pattern. The EMA line is still pointing up, still trending above or below the candles. The candles are riding on the EMA line. That's what we want to see. It peaks out, has a little bit of sell-off, bounces on the EMA line. So again, we're a little iffy right here. Hey, is it time to cover profits? Is it time to cover profits? It goes back up. It can't make new highs, and then it gets rejected again. That's an indication that, hey, this might be a time for a reversal. And then the cover of profits there would be around 3%. 3% is not a bad day trade, especially within about 30 minutes. So let's say you would have covered profits there. It would have peaked out at the top VWAP, breaks below the EMA line, continues to trend down. Does it mean that it has to bounce at the golden VWAP? No, look at this. It actually bounced at the previous support at 27.20. So, if you feel comfortable buying there, that's fine. But realistically, it's not about the lowest point, but it's when you get that confirmation of an uptrend pattern. And that's when it would have broken above 27.40 above the EMA line, just like it did here, and it's actually holding above the EMA line. So it pushes up, holds, consolidates. Do you see, again, the middle VWAP acts as a resistance, breaks above it, pulls back a little bit, holds above the middle VWAP, continues and holds above that EMA line, continues, staircases, really starts to consolidate as it approaches $28.20. You guys should have known already that based on the previous resistance, once, twice, 3 times, it has a resistance at $28. Note that. Note where the resistance levels are at. Don't just look at the VWAP. Don't just look at indicators. Stick to the basics as well. Support and resistance. Where is it a good time to sell or cover profits? Knowing that the resistance is right around 27.20 based on previous times that it's peaked out, it would make sense on why it would be a good time to cover profits there. So when it approaches 28.20, let's say you put your limit order to sell at 28.15, you cover profits, you bought in at 27.40 when you got the confirmation of the uptrend pattern. What did you just cover? You covered 2.9%. So on, not just, 1 day trade, not 2 day trades, not 3, but 4, you were able to make on average anywhere from 2 to 3% margins of profit. And again, it's all because of the VWAP indicator and understanding how it is to successfully scalp this. So again, knowing the support and resistance, so the top VWAP, the bottom VWAP are used as indicators, but not solely full-on confirmation. So it doesn't have to touch the bottom VWAP. It doesn't have to peak out at the top VWAP. Sometimes you'll see that it'll break right through the top VWAP, and sometimes it'll break right through the bottom VWAP. They're used as indicators, but again, you don't solely want to rely on any indicator. One of the things that I also do look at is the EMA line. I want to make sure that we're getting signs of an uptrend pattern. So that's why I wait for the reversal and the break above the EMA intraday, not just on my swing trades. So that's something that I find to be very effective, that I like to wait for to ensure that I get the confirmation of an uptrend pattern. When is it a good time to sell? It's good to become familiar with where the resistance level is at. Understanding that the overall pattern for DUST on this 180-day chart, there's no question that there's a resistance at $28. So knowing that there's a resistance overall, big picture at $28, why would it not make sense to cover profits at $28? It would. Don't just think because it's intraday that it doesn't mean anything. Be familiar with the overall pattern and then be familiar with the intraday pattern as well. So that is something that I quickly wanted to cover for intraday plays and how is it that I've been able to successfully scalp them. Right now we talked about the VWAP indicator and the overall support and resistance on it being able to scalp from the bottom VWAP all the way to the top VWAP. Sometimes you'll notice that there are certain stocks or ETFs that are trending, like, they might open in the green, but almost all day they'll trend between the bottom VWAP and the middle VWAP, and they just continue to bounce there between the bottom and the middle VWAP. That's showing signs of a downward pattern. Another time you might see that, when something is actively trending up, you will see a trend between the top VWAP and the middle VWAP, so showing signs of an uptrend pattern. Become familiar on WIP margins, if it's from bottom to middle or from middle to top, and knowing if it's trending up or if it's trending down. Sometimes it completes the whole VWAP margin, but sometimes it stays in between those different margins of the top to middle or middle to bottom. So to give you an example of something like this, it would be something like Tesla. So Tesla today had a really bad day, dropped about 9%, which is actually really, really bad. And as you guys can see, it tried to open strong. It hit the top VWAP. It got rejected, bounced off the golden VWAP, and it continued to get continuously rejected by the middle VWAP, as you guys can see right here, and it continued to bounce off the bottom VWAP. So some people like to scalp the bounces. I don't like doing that. I don't like investing in something that's actively trending down, but it is possible. So it continued to sell off, continued to sell off, continued to sell off. That's great and all, but something that I would much rather take a part of is something that's scalping in between the top VWAP. So something like, let's use it as an example, that it was mainly trading throughout the top and middle VWAP the entire day, is something like JNUG. So JNUG had a really good day today, although it didn't close very strong. It had a really nice play. It did touch the bottom VWAP. It broke above the middle, hit the top, continued to bounce there, scalp in between the middle and the top VWAP. That's what I mean, something that's actively trending up. Something that's actively trending down will most likely trend between the middle VWAP and the bottom VWAP. Just wanted to make a quick little video, just refreshing you guys on how important the VWAP indicator is, especially for those day traders. So if you guys have any questions about the VWAP indicator or how to successfully day trade, please feel free to reach out to me within the Learn Plan Profit Discord chat. Thank you guys again.